In your left corner, we have the heavyweight, featherweight, welterweight champion of the world, wearing all white and lightning strikes, Powder! The residuals. So here it is. The movie of the night. Powder. And you're asking me, well, Chris, how did we get to this point? You tell him, Elvira. Exactly. How we got here is just a matter of time. Powder is one of these movies. Powder is one of these movies where you think it wouldn't work, but it did. Overall, I will say that I am not surprised that I like this movie. And honestly, I wouldn't be amazed if you like this movie too. This is a good movie. Is it the best movie? Not at all. But it's one of those movies to me where I think it has a cult following. This movie is about an albino with powers. Can't get better than that. It's not just an albino. It's an albino with powers. Now, I picked this movie because it was on top of all of the other movies, and also I have been running away from this movie since around 2005, since like the last time I seen it. So watching this movie from childhood to now being a fully grown adult and watching it, it still gives me the same vibes. It's a pretty wholesome, decent movie, and it does what it has to do. It's one of those movies that you can play on a Sunday morning after church and while you're cleaning the house and neglecting all your other worries in life. You can pop in Powder and try to understand why humanity is so damn stupid sometimes. This movie starts off with a weird beginning. You see an ambulance start to drive down the street. It's coming down and it stops in front of a hospital. Obviously, that's what they do. And out comes a pregnant woman and her husband. You can tell that it's a very serious situation. It's raining outside. It seems pretty cold from what it looks like. And they're rushing in that hospital. Boy, are they rushing. Right? And then once they get in there, immediately, they don't even they don't even take no time to tell him that his wife is gone. She dead instantly. This movie, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now before I go further. They don't take their time for shit in this movie. It is happening. That's why I like this movie. That's the timing for me in this movie is pretty damn good. The timing's pretty good. Now, whatever they fill in with the timing, I wouldn't say is the best all the time, but the timing's pretty good. Okay, so let's go back to boom, wife's dead, newborn baby, doctor's coming out. You can tell how serious the doctor is and how small of a town is because the way he's talking to this man about his dead wife, they either already knew each other or seen each other before, or small town, he's been the doctor there forever, or grew up, high school guy, ended up staying, everybody stay. It's a small town, country town, you could get it. The doctor's like, your wife's dead. Your wife's dead, Tom. And he's like, what do you mean she's dead, man? What about the baby? I was like, what about the baby, bro? Your wife's dead. That's it. Are you trying to tell me that they had, is that like a overshadowing, a pre shadowing of, they had like a bad relationship or something prior to them, prior, were they arguing or something prior to her having like um baby issues or birthing issues? So boom, the doctor's like, you don't want to go in there and see your baby. He's like, let me see the baby. He's like, you don't want to go there and see the baby. And then the dad just goes in there. Like I said, the timing is crazy on this movie. They're straightforward. They're straight to the punch, bitch. We're telling you what the fuck happened. Boom. He goes in there. He sees the baby. The doctor tells him that the baby's albino. Okay. So the baby's albino. They got him hooked up to all these little machines and shit. And the dad's like, that ain't my baby. That's a ugly. What the fuck is that? That is not my son. Even though he's been next to his wife the whole 9 months, and like, who else would who else would be the father in your small town, and you know everybody, right? So, boom, instantly cuts. So now you're blessed with a scene of a cop coming down the street, coming down a little road. Okay, wow, okay. So it's a farm town. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. That explains why the doctor was so nonchalant telling to this dude that his fucking wife's dead. Right? So after that happens, the cop comes up and he's like, old man died in this house, but apparently they got somebody in the basement. Like, fuck yeah, dude. Timing is great. I'm telling y'all, man. Y'all don't understand. I'm going to keep going, but the timing is great on this movie. They get straight to the fucking point. Right? So, boom. Where was I at? All right. Yeah. Got a little albino man in the... got somebody in the basement. So, the cop from the town, the sheriff from the town gets a social worker to come and talk to the boy that he thinks is down there because they found his grandfather dead. Now, he explains that when they found the grandfather dead, it seemed, the autopsy said that, died of natural causes, obviously old, but there's a kid in there. The kid didn't call 911. The neighbors came and found the body, and the boy is in there somewhere. Now, nobody has seen this man or boy or whatever they think is down there. They haven't seen him at all, and that family has been living there their whole lives. They know that there's something else in there, but they didn't know that they were keeping him in there like that, right? And it's a pretty nice house, too. Your casual farmhouse looking type, old Western type looking house. And he ends up opening a cellar, wine cellar, old cellar. People have like old cellars back then and stuff for tornadoes and whatnot. They open it up, they go down there, and boom, lo and behold, the blind magician. I'm just kidding. It's albino. They see, they go down there and they're like, hello. He doesn't want to say anything, so, they start whispering and shit like he's not in there, and they start whispering in the cellar like it's not small enough to see everything in there. That's what gets me with some movies. I understand the budget, but saying hello and they're right there is crazy. But you want to interject? Okay, guess not. So after that, he pops out of nowhere and she's like, hey, let's make contact. And she puts her hand out and he puts his hand out, and then they start touching and start talking to each other. And she's like, who are you? He's like, my name's Powder. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, they said the movie. It hadn't even been 5 minutes in the movie, they already said it. So Powder is an albino, obviously, from the beginning of the movie. You recognize that, oh, that's the same baby. That baby is now a 17-year-old man or a 17-year-old boy, and they don't really say his age. He's about 17, 18 maybe or so. He's in high school, senior type. So I'd say he's about 18. lo and behold, an 18-year-old albino that has been locked in a house for 20 years and only been able to read. So they start talking to each other, and he tells her to pick a page in one of the books that she has picked up that he has in there, because he told her that he knows all the books. He's read all of them. So she picks a page, and he reads off that page. Boom. Instantly finds out he's a genius. She ain't even got to say anything. She's met a lot of kids in her small town, and most of the people in her small town ain't that smart. Right? So, boom. Now we're fast forwarding. He's getting out of the house. They got him packed up already. They don't even say too much. He's got a fucking Blues Brothers outfit on like you never seen before, right? They take him to some type of getaway home, I guess, for orphans, maybe troubled teens, troubled boys in their town. Maybe like a youth group, a house, a home, whatever you want to call it. And instantly everybody's like, what the fuck is that? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Instantly everybody's like, fuck that guy. And it's probably because he's an albino. Now, the funny part is, before they leave from the house, let me backtrack. Before they leave from the house, the deputy to the sheriff asks why there is so many lightning rods on the top of the house, because, you know, like, obviously they get storms around the area, and he's like, why do they have any more all those lightning things, rods on the house, if, you know, and the deputy's like, maybe they're keeping something in, like, you know, that dude's weird and I don't like it, something's up with him. And the joke that had me dying laughing on that part is when the sheriff, after the deputy says that, the sheriff says, it's funny how that white man's white and too white for you. It's crazy how you found somebody too white for you, which shows, you know, what type of guy the deputy is. I'm not saying the sheriff isn't that type of way either, but you can tell they both were type of way, but you can tell the sheriff has grown up a little bit. He's a little bit more mature. I guess as the sheriff in a small town, you have to be more open-minded in certain things and really listen to people's stories, and they give you a good reference to that. Like he's noble-minded, he's thinking, you know, he understands all sides, you know what I'm saying? But he's still going to choose his homeboy, obviously. So backtrack to Powder. Now, Powder is back at this little halfway house, and he's in the lunchroom. All the boys are in there, right? And they try to punk him and shit. They're like, yeah, you got to put your spoon on your end of your nose, and, you know, we're going to punk you and shit. They all surround him and stuff. There's this one guy who's obviously like a jock type dude, and he's just talking shit. Just wants to fuck with Powder, and he takes Powder's food, shoves it in his face, and tells him either you put this spoon on your nose or in your ass. And then Powder's like, and the funny part is, Powder seems a little ambiguous, sexually minded in this movie. He has like some type of openness, I guess you would say, and that leads you to think what you think about him, but they never say he's gay or anything. So after he said that shit to Powder, Powder starts rubbing a spoon, puts it on the table, and it immediately like attracts all the, like, this magnetic force tracks to all the spoons, and all the spoons in that cafeteria. Meanwhile, in this cafeteria, there's 90 people in there at this there's 90 people in this cafeteria. Everybody's in there. That's what I like about this this little shit, because the action is straight up. Powder ain't fucking around. He's showing you he got powers. Now what? He has powers. Now what? That's why I like this fucking movie. He don't give a fuck. He did that shit. Boom. Now all the spoons are coming. It turns into this big sculpture. And then one little spoon pops its head up like that. And it moves around like the thing. And it comes back up and it twiddles its way. And then boom, explodes and everything. Everybody in there looked at him like he was fucking crazy. And they pretty much just left that room. There's not much you can say after you see some shit like that. Everybody just left. Now, when he leaves rooms, he always ends up in the lady's office. She's not I guess she's like his caretaker at this point. She's a social worker, but since his house is in foreclosure and stuff, his grandparents had died. His father left him. His mom's dead, so all he has is that lady. So he keeps going to her house, and he stays at the halfway house, but he always ends up in her office. Now, every time he goes to her office, she's like, "What now? Like, you're so smart. Like, I really want to see you happy. You should keep going out there." And she gives him hope. She also gives him contacts. And at this point, he's wearing contacts. He used to have sunglasses, but he's wearing contacts, and now he can walk outside and see everything. So it shows you that he's a very curious person in this beginning part. He's very curious. He's not afraid to show who he is, but he's trying to figure out why people are afraid to show who they really are, right? And I think that's a big premise of this movie. It's not what you think about Powder, it's what Powder knows about you. It's about what you should think about yourself when you know. So, boom, he's in the office. Now, she doesn't tell him anything. She just encourages him to go back to class or, go back to the halfway thing to play with the boys and stuff. So, all good and gravy. That shit happens. She ends up saying, "Hey, I really want to see if you want to, we have school, if you want to check that out." So they end up letting him go to school. His teacher ends up Jeff Goldblum, which is cool. Jeff Goldblum is a science teacher who's obviously very smart. You could tell he's very intelligent, not just for being a science teacher, but you can tell in the premise of the way they wrote it. You could tell he's supposed to be a higher learning, like he's advanced science teacher. So he brings out a Jacob's ladder, electricity, and he's starting to show the kids, talking about energy. You start meeting this girl who is supposed to be a love interest to Powder, and she looks some Mary Jane ass chick. You could tell she's gonna probably give him into some trouble. Every chick who has red hair in pretty much every movie, something happens. It's either you win or you lose. It's never you win every time. You're probably gonna fumble her. It's the Mary Jane effect, I guess. So they start locking eyes and shit, and then the Jacob ladder starts pulsing and shit. And meanwhile, Powder is freaking the fuck out because the electricity is charging him, and he's honestly getting charged up. He's getting charged up. And then he gets electrocuted by the shit, and it starts picking him up. It picks him up. The electricity picks him up off of his desk in front of everybody in the class, and he's just lifting up 10 feet in the air. This is the ray. Yeah, he's doing that shit, right? And it drops him. Boom. It drops him after Jeff Goldblum breaks the glass on the Jacob ladder. Powder falls. He grabs Powder and touches him, and it shocks him, gives him a good jolt, right? After that, he knew that something was fucking wrong with Powder. And it seems like everybody knew, obviously, because he's already albino, and things are leading them to know that he's extra. But he shows you that he's extra, and people are still sitting there like they didn't see that shit. So, boom. Now he's in high school. Everybody knows that he's fucking got superpowers and shit. So now Jeff Goldblum and the caregiver at this point start trying to bring him into human life. Even though he is a human, he only had contact with his grandparents his whole life. So now he's meeting people. He's going outside. He's seeing new things. Everything he has ever read, he can actually put something to it now. He has tangibles because his whole life he's only read things. So now everything that he can read, he can actually control and focus on because he already knows the true theory about it in his mind, right? They're going on that stage with him. Meanwhile, you have the backstory. So, the backstory is the sheriff has a sick wife who has some type of illness, and they have a son together. The son you see for a glimpse second after Powder goes to school that first day. He goes back, the sheriff goes back to his house, and he has a maid, and his maid watches his wife while he's gone at work. But she's sick and she can't talk. She's basically in a coma. That's the backstory on him. So the only reason I think that he has more of an open mind now is because his wife is sick and he has to believe in God and he has to believe that there may be something else, because if he doesn't, then all hope is gone for his wife, and he doesn't know how to get out of this spell, and he doesn't know why his wife is still holding on, because she should be dead by that point. That's a little backstory. So we keep going on, and you start to see that they're trying to already take advantage of Powder, and it's not the caretaker, and it's not necessarily Jeff Goldblum. It's more so the school curriculum is trying to take over him. They don't believe him that he's that much of a genius, even though he's making electricity pop around everybody. He can alter magnetic fields. He can blow things up with his mind. And nobody's listening to him. Nobody's understanding him. And there's not much to understand. He's a simple man. You be a nice person to him, he'll show you the magics of the world. But you can't get that from him if you're an asshole, right? And that's pretty much how the premise of this movie goes for a while. He's sitting there not understanding why people are hurting each other. He's not understanding why people aren't feeling like they're one with everything. So it gets to the point where he's at a camping trip with the boys, right? Because he does go to high school, but he still lives at a boys' group home. So this boys' group home part, they're having an outing. You never really know when he's in school or at the group home. It's kind of shoddy with that. But he's with the boys at the group home or whatever, but they're having an outing. They're going camping and stuff. And while everybody else is cooking fire and stuff, he goes out there and he talks to the sheriff. And he tells the sheriff that he remembers the first day he was born. And the sheriff looked at him crazy, like, how do you fucking remember that? But he tells him he does. And, like, that was the first time he said that. So, meanwhile, the next day, the same jock that told him to put it on his nose or put it in his ass with the spoon, that jock has a gun and he's pointing it at a Powder. Powder's like, what the fuck, you know, like, everybody's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he keeps pointing at Powder. And right when he's about to pull the trigger, they hear a gun ring out. Now, when the gun rings out, it's the deputy shooting a deer from about, you know, like a football field away. They go over there. He's telling them how much, you know, like what kind of doe it is. It's an easy kill. But to come to find out, they weren't supposed to be hunting, right? You're not supposed to be hunting in that area. So while the doe's dying, Powder comes up and he like touches the doe right where it's dying, and he puts his thumb in the bullet hole. And then when the guy comes up to grab Powder to tell him to fucking move, the deputy, Powder grabs him and he makes him feel what the doe is feeling, the dying, right? He does this for a solid minute. The dude starts convulsing, shaking, damn near passes out. Everybody grabs Powder away from him, and Powder's sitting there crying, looking at the man. Powder's got blood on his hands. The man's shaking up and shit. Everybody's like, what the fuck did you do to him? You know what I'm saying? Did you take something out of him? Did you suck his soul? Like, they can't understand what the fuck Powder did. But Powder is feeling that shit. You could tell Powder feels everything. And he has this face to where it's kind of like he has the face of I, you should know I'm more powerful than you, but you may not know I'm powerful than you. And I don't know if you even have powers. And he gives him like a, I wouldn't say a sensual look, but he gives everybody the look of energy, I would call it. Like, he gives everybody a warm-eyed look, which is kind of ambiguous sometimes in the movie because you can obviously see. And shout out to my homegirl for saying something which was funny as fuck. Shout out to Cam Greers. She said that all knowing equals gay. And that's kind of how this movie is, because to be honest, he's pretty all knowing, but at certain parts of this film, you can honestly see that you don't know if he's teetering between liking men or liking women. But let's go back to this. So boom, that happens. The deer happens. After that, he ends up starting to see the girl from the science class more. She's starting to pop up more. He walks by the neighborhood after he's leaving, trying to run away and stuff because he ends up into the office again. And while he's done in the office, he goes back to his room and he packs some stuff and he tries to leave town. But as he's leaving, he talks to the girl and, you know, he's telling her certain things about his powers and how he feels, and she's like, oh, you have blue eyes or green eyes, which you can tell she's obviously interested in him. But you could tell she was interested in him when he got pulled into the fucking air 30 feet from a damn Jacob's ladder. But she's playing the field. She's playing the field. She's giving them a little, you know, a little play. He's playing on her a little bit. He's making her laugh. He's doing his little mind tricks with his hand. He's doing some telepathic shit with her. And she's liking that shit. He's not a bad dude. She just doesn't understand why people hate him. And she does understand that, but not in the way he wants her to understand that, if that makes sense. So while she's getting play, it's going back and forth in the movie. It's flicking from the sheriff and his wife to Powder and the girl. Now Powder and the girl are starting to hold hands, not kiss each other yet. They're starting to hold hands, talk to each other, and they're walking everywhere. Also juxtaposed, Powder is still getting harassed by these dudes at the basketball thing. I mean, not the basketball game, at the halfway house. So it gets to the point where Powder and the girl are more than friends. They're sitting down, they kiss each other at a carnival, and her dad comes up and tells her that she needs to fucking stop talking to Powder. Powder doesn't look like he's scared, obviously, because he just got his first kiss from her. And her dad comes up and is like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Keep your hands off my fucking daughter. Of course, here comes Captain Save-A-Ho, the social worker, and saves Powder from that predicament. Now the girl leaves. You don't see the girl anymore. Powder's sitting there sad, tries to run away again. And this is the second time that he tells this is the second time that he gets caught by the cop and shit. And tells him, hey, you gotta stop fucking running away, man. You gotta stop fucking running away. Get in the car. He gets in the car and stuff. And push come to shove, he ends up going back to the place. This happens several times in this movie. They try to take him away. Powder runs away. But when he runs away, he gives somebody else some type of vision or something that they can see, right? Or a feeling. That's when Jeff Goldblum comes back, tells Powder you're a good dude, but Powder tells him that he's never been touched by a person because his parents and grandparents were scared to touch him. So that's when you see the sensual touching of the head and the arm and the face, but it's more of a wholesome feeling. Like you're sitting there, you're invigorated watching the movie. You're like, damn, that is sad as fuck. Like he is pretty sad. Like I can see the sadness. That's not really gay. That's more of, if you're a human, you would understand the feeling of he is hurt. He's like a child. Like he's hurt. He needs somebody. He's never had a hug. Like hug this man, right? They do that several times in this movie. So the bullies come back, and this time when Powder's about to run away, he goes and he hears them playing basketball. I don't think he's ever seen anybody play basketball. He goes into the gym, sees them playing basketball. There's a dude in there washing his body, and it's obviously supposed to be sexual to show that he's looking at this man in like a physical sexual way because he's never seen humans, right? And it's not the fact of the matter that he's gay or not. He's just an open person because he doesn't know that. He doesn't know what's right or wrong, really, in that sense of mind. All he knows is his grandparents and what the love they have is, and what he has read in books from what love is and who love would be, and it doesn't have a face to it. And I think that's the premise of the movie. Like, just love one another, right? But regardless, they tried to beat him up. They strip him naked. They kick him into a dirt hole on the ground. And after they kick him on the dirt hole on the ground, he ends up doing a fucking spirit bomb out his ass or belly button, one or the two. He was straight up all fours. Kapow! Spirit bomb! Exploded. Blew these people up. Blew all the boys up and ended up killing the boy who was fucking with him, who happens to be, I think he's the son of the deputy. But after he blew his ass up, he gives him the and then he fucking jump starts his heart. But the boy realized what he did for him and realized that he was a piece of shit the whole movie, and that's what he did to his dad. So now he understands why you shouldn't be that bad to people, right? Powder was just straight power. Powder was straight power this whole movie. One of the coldest lines Powder said was when the caretaker, social worker, comes out, and she's like, blah blah blah, we just really want to show you. And then he's like, I just want to go home, bitch. Like, I want to go to my house. How long do you think I'm gonna let y'all keep me here? How long do you think I'll let you keep me here? That's cold as fuck. How long do you think I'll let y'all keep me here? Let him go. Let my people go. Powder was on that. Powder was on straight ham. He didn't give a fuck. He knew it. He knew what he had in his mind, and you can't tell him different. But come to find out, when you're watching it throughout, you see that when his mom was pregnant with him, that night she got electrocuted by lightning, and it charged Powder up. So that's the reason why Powder has the electronic powers, because his mom got struck by lightning and died that night. But when she died, he was born. Yeah. He said that his mom... basically, okay, so, yeah. Let's get back to this. So, the cop has... Yeah, okay, boom. Spirit bomb, boom. Well, let's go back. The cop had a wife. The wife is sick. He ends up calling Powder to come up there and try to communicate with her, because he's heard from all these other people that Powder does magic. But he wants to see for himself, and he wants to see why his wife ain't talking. He heard what he did to the deputy. He's heard what he did to the homeboy exploding his ass. He wants to see what the fuck is up. So they bring him to his sick wife. His sick wife taps in with Powder. Powder tells the sheriff that he needs to talk to his son, and that's the only way that his wife will go back home. He talks about a ring that his wife, he's like, how am I supposed to connect with my son? And then she's going through Powder. That's how she was. She going through Powder, and he's like, the ring y'all lost in the snow. You must find it. Look in that box. He looked in the box, because at first, in the beginning of the movie, they show the box and they show his son. The son leaves. Don't even talk to each other. Goes in there and sees his sick wife. But at this point, Powder done locked in with her. So now he's talking through her, and she wants him to open up the box. He opened up the silver box, and it was the ring that she lost. And she's like, that's how you connect with the son. I feel at peace now. Remember, you have a son. Boom. She dies. He goes outside. Their bitch ass maid that I said they had, that was watching the wife, she ends up calling the son, talking about, there, that freak's up there. That freak's up there. Meanwhile, the sheriff come down there, hugs his son. Powder watching all this shit happen. Boom. Powder goes back to his house. He's tired of all this shit. He runs away. They find Powder in the house again. They're trying to get Powder out. Now it's the sheriff. It's Jeff Goldblum in there. You got the social worker and the sheriff all trying to get him out of there. Powder said fuck that and tried to run away. Now when he tried to run away, the deputy tried to run after his ass. Powder turned around and said some magical shit like, just know I was here. We're all here. He said some Prince shit. And Jeff Goldblum is like, I think we got lost in the technology. We need to be more humane. I don't know. They said some magical shit like that. Powder gets upcharged, takes his shirt off, and starts running like Naruto. When I'm telling you them arms failing, he running. Got struck by that lightning. That lightning took him out, man. That lightning took him out. And he exploded and turned back into the sky. And that was the movie. Just a whole bunch of electronically just faded out in that bitch. I don't even know. That was a pretty good movie. All in all, Powder's not a bad movie. It's definitely a time filler. It's definitely action-packed. It's got a little good action. It's a little airy here and there with like the wording and what they say and stuff and how they played some of the scenes. It's a little lame. Like how the dad is just out of the fucking picture. You never hear from him again. You never really hear from the girl again. It's just Powder. I mean, this movie is it's a pretty good movie. I see why they rated it a 6 out of 10, cuz it's got chops. It's got something. Definitely a cult following somewhere. Somebody's favorite movie. But if you watch it, it's definitely something you could tune into. I wouldn't fall asleep on it. It's not really like a Forrest Gump type movie, but it's up there. It's a nice little movie. Powder was a refreshing take of the past. And I will say that I will be more humble to all the magical albinos out there. This has been a visual residual. And I bid you good night and good morrow. Go watch Powder. Peace.